All right, welcome on in everyone to another episode of First CSP, channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we're going to take a look at Samoset 627 out of Wisconsin. Council was originally formed in 1930 as the merger of Marathon and Lincoln Counties 627, as well as Marionette 626. We have some first issues that can be a little difficult, first issue variations that can be a little difficult to discern in isolation. So we've got them here to present today, hopefully to help you with the differences between what is red, orange, and dark red. So we'll take a look at the patch table here, starting with the T1A with its white border, red, orange background, and white letters. Obviously, the very famous Samoset tent with the crown. Samoset, where camping is king, I believe is the slogan. If I have that incorrect, feel free to correct me in the comments below, but I believe that is the smiling tent, and the slogan for Samoset was where camping is king, which makes sense with the logo. And this is the red-orange background. If we take a look at the back, traditional gauze cloth back on this one. And then the second variation here is the T1B. And when we put these together, it is fairly easy to see that the T1A is orange-red and the T1B is red. Take a look at the back here. T1B also gauze cloth back. The dark red on the T1B is super red, but it's actually not the area where we run into the most potential confusion with the first issue. So we'll get to that in a moment. But again, T1B here with its white border, dark red background, and white letters. So these are the two variations of the T1. After this, Samoset produced the TA2, which was a recruiter patch in 1976, which had the dark red background but a dark yellow border. It's not going to be confused with any of these at all because of the change in border. Where we run into a bit of an issue is the next patch that they issued, the T3. The T3 with its white border, orange background, and white letters. This is where I think we can actually run into some confusion on what is the T1A and what is the T3, because now we're talking about much more similar colors than the T1B. Dark red is pretty easy to tell the difference from. But if you're just looking at pictures in isolation, it can be a bit challenging to discern, okay, which one is the T1A, orange red, and which one is the T3, which is just orange. Now, size-wise, we are going to find, see if we can move this out from behind me just a little bit. We are going to find that the T3 is longer left to right. You will notice a bit of difference in the boldness of the stitching on the tent, which can be a helpful clue. Some slight variations in the style of stitching for the font. Taking a look at the back. Let's flip both of these over so we can look at them together. Again, the backs are both gauze cloth backs. There's not necessarily a whole lot that's going to tell you the difference there. And it is why, in isolation, it can be a bit challenging. Oftentimes, obviously, if you're looking at listings of CSP on auction sites or what have you, they're not going to have direct measurements for you. They're not going to show you them together, and you're only going to have one patch in isolation. You just get a slightly darker orange when you're talking about what is orange-red labeled in the collecting guides, and you get a bit brighter orange when we're looking at the T3. So there can be potential confusion between those. You can see some differences in the style on the tents themselves. If we compare the tent here on the T1B, gosh, the production runs are close enough. I would say the stitching here looks just a bit cleaner than on the older style, which ends up being a little little looser as opposed to a defined line. They seem to tighten up a bit as you go through production runs and subsequent patches. Obviously, the T3 was then made later. I would say the same thing for the text. The text looks maybe a little tighter. Some of that can just be age. This could have come out a little tighter originally, but then handling over years, this is an older patch. Maybe that's how we got to that point. But as I've said, that the biggest challenge here with Samoset in the first issue is going to be discerning between the T1A and the T3. After that, they released the T4, which did have an A and B variant depending on if it's a Type 1 fleur-de-lis or Type 2. It's going to be very easy to discern that it is not one of those first few because now they did add the fleur-de-lis. This one happens to be a T4A because of the Type 1 fleur-de-lis. If you saw Type 2 fleur-de-lis here, that would be a T4B. This one happens to have a plastic back now. And again, it is more in line with the darker borders. The T4A is actually listed as red and not dark red, where the T4B, which had a Type 2 fleur-de-lis, is listed as dark red, so that would look closer to the second issue, T1B. So here's the T1A, first issue, versus the T4A. And I'll put this in on the side just real quick. This is the T1B, so this is the super dark red versus what is just listed as red. They do say, and we don't happen to have a T4B, that the T4B would be back to dark red, so slightly darker than this, but very evident with the Type 2 fleur-de-lis. Again, I think I'll leave us at the end here comparing what I think is the most important to note as far as differences, and that is the T1A versus the T3. Hopefully this has helped provide some additional information should you want to collect Samoset and be concerned with the first issue in helping to decipher the difference between specifically these two patches. With that is Samoset 627 out of Wisconsin for First CSP. We're back again tomorrow with another brand new episode of First CSP. We hope to see you back here for that. Until then, thank you all for tuning in and supporting the channel. We really do appreciate it. We continue to grow here into the new year. We're ready for a whole nother year of First CSP, and we've got episodes to fill the entire calendar, so we hope you'll be joining us along the way. Until tomorrow, thank you all again for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.